Hi, everybody. Holly Claire, social media advisor, trainer for Social Power Program, and I am so excited to bring you session number 2
Whoop, whoop.
with our very own Power Tribe member, Katie Myers of CR Conversations.
Good morning.
Good morning. You know, we were talking a little bit about what we're going to be talking about today, and I got super hungry. So we're going to be talking about spaghetti and how it relates to your sales. And, you know, Katie, you have a great description of spaghetti.
Thank you.
And so I've brought my garlic bread. You've got the Parmesan cheese and the spaghetti. What does spaghetti look like in the sales process?
Well, it is something that all of us have done. Some of us continue to do. And I think it also very much relates, there's a lot of spaghetti in the social media world as well, which is it's the notion of I'm just going to throw it up on the wall, see what sticks. And that is not a strategy. Spaghetti is not a strategy. Spaghetti is a hope, a wish, and a prayer that something is going to stick. Now, something that always gets tricky with people is sometimes some of that spaghetti does stick, right? We might try, going to one networking event and we happen to get a client from it, but then, we never go back because we're like, oh, I'm good. I got what I needed. Or we have those clients that, find us maybe through social media and 1 out of 1,000 of them come to you and say, I know exactly what I need. I need the Social Power Program. I need to sign up for both of the courses. And, here's my credit card. Bing, bang, boom, I'm done. Well, that's
so rare.
The time, right? If it did, both of us would be out of a job.
Right.
So what I like to talk about is this is chapter 7 in my book. It's very shiny. Failure. This one may or may not have been left out in the rain. So this is a copy.
Nice.
The crinkly copy. So it's called, spaghetti versus strategy. So that's what we're going to talk about today is how not to just be winging it all the time and just throwing stuff at the wall, seeing what sticks, because that becomes exhausting and super defeating if that's all you're doing for your quote unquote strategy to attain and attract clients.
I see that a lot in social, just like you mentioned, where it's, okay, so I need to do a newsletter. I need to do all these networking things. I need to Facebook, Pinterest, LinkedIn, YouTube, Google+, Twitter, Instagram, and then it's overwhelm. And there's nothing that's done really, really well. It's just splat. And nothing seems to stick most of the time.
Exactly. So that's why we're here. That's why, that's why you brought in experts. That's why you're the expert in what you do is so that, we can really be strategic. And I think that word doesn't hold enough power as it should with entrepreneurs. We have the intention of being strategic, but then it turns into spaghetti. And it's understanding, okay, having a strategy is one thing, but implementing it is what actually makes it come to fruition. So giving some tips on how to actually be strategic when you are setting your sales goals, when you're setting revenue goals, making sure that it's, connecting and then working backwards and filling out, okay, what is the true strategy? What am I going to stick to for a while? Not that trust me, there have been plenty of strategies that I have tried that have failed right away. Right? But yeah, I give it at least the 90-day trial, right? And I think you advise something similar with social media. Like, you can't just do a Facebook ad for one day and be like, well, that didn't work.
Yeah. Well, because it's about those touches, right? It all goes back to those touches, whether it's in social or it's with a strategy of these are the steps that you go through to close this opportunity and keep that register ringing, that it's not about a one-time visibility we're bombarded with content and contacts and emails and every which way we can communicate. And it's finding those special ways that your audience really responds to in multiple touches. And it's no sprint, guys. It is a marathon that you are running. That's why it's not just one phone call, sign the contract, here's my credit card. It's multiple. And you teach the 8-touch follow-up strategy. Your book has tons and tons of workable implementing steps for sales. You've got a workshop that's coming up that's specifically talking about spaghetti versus strategy. And you guys, that's just the thing I'm seeing time and time again in here and in other places where, okay, I just need to create all these things. Let's map it out. And then I'm not going to do them. And it's that's the key, is you have to do the work. And 90 days is a perfect amount of time to try out a strategy and see if it's working. In social, you want to try out that editorial calendar for up to 6 months, because you don't know how your audience is going to respond. It may be the 5th month or the 5th touch where they see your content and it's like, oh, cha-ching, yep, this is why I need this person in my life.
Absolutely. There's a lot of dating, right? We've talked about this many times together. There's so much dating that goes into prospecting. You know, it's very similar to building any other relationship. You know, you're not just going to, they're not going to see a social media post from you and go, oh my God, that's my person. You know, here's $1,200. Let's do this thing. You know, they're going to woo you. They're going to check you out. They're going to date you. And so part of having a sales strategy has to include your social media strategy. I always look at sales strategy in 3 parts. There's 3 lanes that we look at. Okay. The first is what I call boots on the ground. So this is your networking. This is truly like you're belly to belly with people. You're having conversation. You're having connection. That is the number 1 sales leads generator, however you want to look at it, for any solo entrepreneur, is networking.
I'm writing this down because I want to make sure, and I want all of you to write this down too, because I mean, she just does not provide nuggets without I learn something new every single time. So 1 is belly to belly.
Belly to belly. Your second lane is your database, your existing database. So these are people that you've nurtured. These are relationships that you've built. This is a combination of existing clients, of past clients, of affiliates, of collaborative partners. These are people that are fans of yours. Whether they have actually engaged with you or not, they all serve a purpose. So your new people that you're nurturing through boots on the ground, your existing database, and then that third lane is social. It's your outward exposure. And all 3 of these lanes, when you're looking at your sales strategy, so if we're looking at our sales strategy for the next 90 days, all 3 of those things need to have a matching message. They need to be consistent. So whatever you define your service offering as for those 90 days, so let's take the Social Power Program, for example. You know, maybe Holly would just focus on the storytelling side of the program. Well, then she needs to be talking about when she's networking in her 30-minute whatever introduction commercial, that message needs to be there. And then it also needs to be shared with her existing database and consistently shared on social media. So if that person that, you know, so if Holly meets Susan at a networking event and then Susan goes, you know, online to, you know, check Holly out, she's seeing the same message. People need to hear the same message multiple times, as Holly said, before it sinks in. So give them the opportunity. Don't be, you know, talking about working with you one-on-one on social, talking about your online membership in person, and then emailing your database about a workshop. You're just going to confuse the hell out of everybody.
You know, and we get so excited because when we're building out that editorial calendar, we're looking at all of the different ways that you serve. And it's why we take the time to go through each month and each step the way we do. because you have to map it out separately. You can't get so super excited about, okay, so this week I want to talk about this and next week I want to talk about that. No, guys, it is a marathon. You have to teach your people, and the only way they're going to learn is from consistency. So when I say I want you to focus on your one product for this month, that goes right in alignment with your sales process. And this is key. This is why Katie's here, because we get so excited. We want to share everything. You know, Katie actually has a process where she focuses on her book, for example, for 3 months at a time.
Mm-hmm.
So if she's recruiting for her membership, it's 3 months of content. It's not just a week.
Right.
And so I know you get excited. I know you have so much value and so much information you want to share. And there's so many ways that you can serve. But in order to serve our audience the best, we have to make it as simple as possible.
Mm-hmm.
And the only way you're going to be top of mind is if you do make it that simple.
Exactly. And Holly, you brought up a really good point. So how our audience wants to be served. Often we are guessing about that. We make assumptions of how we want our audience to be served. And Holly and I both know from experience that you have to be flexible and willing to evolve. But that evolution can't come unless you are asking the questions of your audience. So if I were switching every week from check out my opt-in, let's work together one-on-one, here's a workshop, here's the conversation club, I'm never going to get real feedback of what they actually want from me. So picking that one service that you're going to focus on for a month, 2 months, 3 months, you are going to be able to get some feedback, especially if this is something new that you're launching. And recognizing that you need to do some kind of behind the scenes work of asking people. So if you're thinking about coming out with an online membership or a new training program, or your direct sales company is coming out with new products. I know many people just got back from conferences and they're just like, oh my God, so many things I can share now. Same thing applies. Start asking people, say, hey, if this were to, be an option, would you take advantage of it? Go back to past people that you've worked with. Start asking around at your boots on the ground. Start, asking your existing database. You can use social media to do surveys and polls and things like that. Make sure that you're doing the research before you just jump in and launch something new. That was a little bit of a sidestep to what we're specifically talking about, but that's kind of pre-sales strategy, is having some ground to stand on, so that if you're launching something prematurely, or if you're sharing a product or a service that people aren't interested in, that's where the defeat will kick in really quickly, and you'll go, well, I tried this for 2 weeks and nobody said anything. Well, if you had the backing of the feedback of people saying, yes, this is totally something that I want, you are going to stick with it longer to allow it to sink in, for them to get their questions answered, so on and so forth.
So much yes. I get requests all the time for, okay, so I've got this new shiny idea. I want to host this event, and I want it to be 2 weeks from today, and I want to do a Facebook thing, and I want to do this, and I want to do that. And then you do the event, and there's almost no turnout.
Yeah.
Because you didn't give yourself enough time to prepare ahead of time. So right now, we're in the month of July, or month of August, and I'm preparing for content that's going out September, October, November, December timeframe, because I know that what I do right now helps me prepare for that season, so I'm not slow. So if there's an event I'm doing, it's gonna be further out, because I need to prepare my audience for seeing things. And there's an entire process that Katie actually develops that helps you format the communication behind that strategy, because there is intricate pieces that have to go along with it. You can't just vomit it all at the beginning and hope that people are going to show up.
Right.
You need buy-in on so many different ways, and that's where spaghetti is never going to work.
Exactly right. Could not have said it better myself, Holly. So the other pieces of sales strategy that I think people miss are kind of segmenting out each of those lanes. So your boots on the ground. as I mentioned, and I know that you would agree with too, because that's how we met, was boots on the ground networking. With it being such a critical piece, it can also become a very spaghetti style of sales when you're going around and just finding whatever event is available to you. You have to be strategic about where you're spending your time and going all in when you're there. So I'll use myself as an example. So I've been in business for 5 years. The first 3 of those years, I was spaghetti. I was everywhere. I would go to every happy hour I was invited to. I'd go to every networking event I was invited to. I would, check out all of these different places. I was personally a part of 3 different organizations, and nothing really stuck. I got some success here and there, but until I started to, whittle down, Holly knows this, every November is when I reassess my boots on the ground marketing. And I look at, okay, where am I spending my time? Has this group been fruitful? What is this going to look like? And the reason why it's so important to just hone in on where you're going to be spending your time is that you can't build relationships if you're only seeing people once in a while. You have to be consistent, and you have to be able to share that message over and over again. If you're going to a networking event where you only go once a month and every time you show up, your message is different, everyone's going to be confused. No one's going to know exactly how to refer you or how to identify themselves as somebody that should work with you. So just keep that in mind and spend some time really assessing, how can I make the most out of one group and then maybe 2 groups, and just being able to assess your time. And Holly and I have a lot of conversations about that, even recently.
Yes. Well, and that's just the thing. You can become a professional networker. Totally. And then never have a solid relationship anywhere. When you can go to a place and you've got your tribe of people who know your messaging so well that they could literally, my husband hates this word, they could literally sit there and look at anyone else in the room and be able to communicate your message for you. Yes. That's how you know your relationship is so solid. And that's how you build your referral partners at that point, because you network to build relationships. You don't network to get business. So You're not passing out those cards and making it rain. Right. You are showing up to build relationships with people, because that's the way that you're going to build that know, like, trust for you to be referable. Mm-hmm. And then at a certain point in time, you might have the opportunity to do business with that person, possibly or possibly not. Mm-hmm. They know you that well. And that's what's so important. You have to communicate in the way that your audience wants to be communicated with, and you have to serve them in a way that would benefit both of your relationships combined. And if you are not showing up all in, wanting to make it rain, and you're just hoping that here's a spaghetti that's mm-hmm. gonna stick, it's just not, my friends. We've spent a lot of time trying to figure that out. And so to save you in that, just don't be that guy. If you want to show up and learn how to build relationships through networking, Katie and I would be honored for you guys to attend any of the meetings that we go to, mm-hmm. because we don't want you to be a professional networker. We want you to build a relationship. That's how we're human. That's how we're built to be. Everything else is uncomfortable.
Yep, exactly. And it's very easy for us to slip into that mindset when we have tough months. Holly made a really good point earlier when she said that she's planning in the month of August, she's planning out what she's going to do in September, October, November. That's why strategy is so critical, because it allows you to constantly have a pipeline and be able to know that, okay, I'm going to continue to build relationships. Even if I need to make shifts and adjustments, it's not shut down for the summer and then your fall is terrible. You have to have this continuous activity, which is why staying consistent with where you're networking and with your message are so key, because then at any time the activity that you're doing in this current 90-day segment is going to directly reflect your next 90 days. So think about that. What have you done so let's take the quarter. So July, August, September, right? What did your July look like? How much activity were you doing? If you're sitting there going, oh my God, nothing, I was on vacation, my clients were on vacation, it was a terrible month. Well, then you have some making up to do in August and September if you don't want to be struggling in Q4.
That's correct. Absolutely correct. That means you've got to spend that time boots on the ground, meeting people, collaborating with people, reconnecting with that database of people that you've already met, and maybe nothing happened during that time, but let them know how valuable they are and reconnect often. This is awesome. I love those 3 tips. The social exposure component, I found it fascinating watching your journey going through online and some of the different transformations that you have gone through your book, and the powerful structure you've built through speaking and that exposure. And it was fascinating because at one point in time, I remember we were doing a lot of images that didn't have a whole lot of Katie in them. Right. When you started pushing Katie forward, guys, I talk about you and your brand all the time. When we started pushing Katie forward, people started to see Katie as the influencer. And when she became the influencer, before she even knew it, but while she was writing her book, she became the influencer. Before she even knew it, there were people who were calling her for speaking opportunities. Where did they come from? It was all from the exposure that she put in her marketing and the time she took to build the relationships to get her to that next level. And she invests in the relationship, guys, because it is all about that. So Spaghetti on the Wall, I believe you have a workshop coming up. You guys, I've attended multiple Katie trainings, and I'm a part of her conversation club, which if you are not, you should totally check out. crconversations.com. It's a monthly membership in a similar format. She does things in her own unique way, and so you will want to check that out. But if anything else, watch her YouTube videos, her Talk It Out Tuesdays on Facebook, to get a feel for what she's talking about. This woman lives and breathes value, nurturing, and education. And you've got to check her out. It's awesome. So every week I learn something new from Katie. I'm a part of the Conversation Club where I get support from the other members, clubbers, and she's got a tribe as well. But even further than that, if you want to take your sales to the next level for this next quarter, you've got to attend Spaghetti versus Strategy.
Yes. Thank you so much, Holly. I appreciate you a lot. Yeah, so I do not, yes, very, very much. So I do not do live workshops anymore. I think the last one that I did was 2 years ago. I don't know. I mean, like, when was the last workshop you attended? Probably like 3 years.
Like 3 years ago.
Yeah. So the reason that I stopped doing live workshops is because I was listening to my audience and started to move things more online and one-on-one. So, but I did get, over this past month, I have heard a lot of, July was terrible. My summer really sucks. I am throwing spaghetti at the wall. I feel like I just need like 3 hours with you, Katie. So here's what I did. I listened, and on August 21st from 1 to 4 p.m., live at my office in the North DTC area, I am going to be walking you through the difference between spaghetti versus strategy and helping you develop an actionable, keyword there, an actionable strategy for the rest of the year. So for the next 4 months, you will know what to talk about, how to talk about it, how to share it, how to utilize those 3 lanes that we talked about today, and be able to connect with it. So there'll be some pre-work, which will be chapter 7 of my book. You'll get a copy of the book. Truly, I mean, it is, if you feel like you are floundering right now and you are just truly sitting there just hoping that things are going to change, then this workshop is for you. It is an $897 value, and I'm only charging $297.
Yeah.
So 3-hour workshop, $297. There's only 8 spots available.
I'm just sitting here like speechless because that's a huge value. to be able to have access to Katie and for her to speak into your messaging is so powerful. And there's so much value in that, you guys. If you're not taking this on, I highly recommend that you do so, because it will not only support you in sales, but it will support you in that third aspect of that social exposure. Mm-hmm. That Absolutely. Editorial calendar is going to be key in all of this, guys. So it's just the perfect marriage of support in so many different ways. And so if you have questions about Katie, her process, or anything else, I'm always open to answer anything. But you should just talk to Katie and listen to her stuff. It's sound. You know, can you tell your Johnny Guns story real quick?
Sure. So, all right. So my background is being in the insurance industry. Okay. So I am always very excited when I get solicitation calls from people. And when I worked in insurance, I worked at Allstate, and I wrote my own policy. Okay. Well, I ended up switching from that agency, and now I'm with the wonderful Holly Mullins at Farmers Insurance. And one day, I get a phone call from Jimmy at Allstate. Okay,
look at those eyebrows.
I know, Jimmy at Allstate. I just imagine that this is what he looks like, and he kind of bobbles his head while he. So, Jimmy, number one, Jimmy did not realize or even bother to probably check that I used to work there, that I wrote my own policy and whatnot. But that just makes the story even better. So I get this voicemail, right? And it's, "Hey, Katie, this is Jimmy over here at Allstate. Hey, girl, if you could just give me a call when you have a second, I just really think we should talk, girl. We'd love to have you back. We want to keep you in the good hands." So I'm listening to this message, and I am dying because I'm imagining him, and I'm not wearing shoes right now, so this is going to be fun. But I imagine Jimmy just like, he has a little headset on, Britney Spears style headset on. And he's just, dialing numbers. He's like, "Hey, girl, Jim down here at Allstate. We really miss you. Why don't you come on over, come back to the good hands?" So, I'm telling that story. Why? We've all met a Jimmy, okay? We've all met a Jimmy. And sometimes, never probably to that level, but sometimes we can come across as the Jimmy, and all that is desperation. And people can hear it, they can smell it from a mile away. So that story, it's just a really fun story to tell.
Well, the reason why I mentioned it is because Jimmy didn't have anything in place. He didn't have any process in place, and he's always been told that sales is a certain way. Mm-hmm. And it's just not about the numbers. I mean, sure, yeah. I mean, that's how you're going to make your money, right? We're all in business to do business. But at the end of the day, how you leave someone in that experience is what is going to be top of mind when they think about you. And every time she thinks of Jimmy, in good hands. We got the good hands. And so, you don't want to have that approach. And sales is not scary. It doesn't suck. It can be super fun when you're not feeling pressured. And, you implement the specific processes that she's going to teach you in that workshop, and you just do it. You get it done. I will tell you, my biggest effort is phone calls. And it always has been. But, the months that I do, such as the month of July, my best month of the year yet. And it's because I sat down, I did the work, and I was not slow this summer.
Whoop, whoop. Whoop, whoop. Yes.
So it's the truth. It's a fact. And Katie's processes started from Allstate. She developed these processes because she's like, I don't want to be that Jimmy. I don't want to ever come across that way. And I don't want to be Jimmy. Don't be Jimmy.
That also means something else. So maybe we shouldn't use that as a hashtag.
That is a good reminder, you guys, as you're looking up your hashtags, make sure to look up the hashtags before you use them.
Search that hashtag.
When you watch the hashtag video, I will share you a story of one particular hashtag that that got a really interesting response. So, okay, guys, this is fantastic, Katie. I just adore you. Thank you for your time. And guys, $297 is priceless for what you're going to be implementing for the rest of the year, and that's a huge value. So I'm going to put information in the Power Program groups. I'm going to send you contact information for Katie, and I encourage you to participate in some of the conversations going on that Facebook group. She's going to ask you some hard questions, and it's really just to analyze, where are you in this season? What are your challenges, and have you actually implemented the stuff that you've been learning in Social Power Program, because that does support your sales process.
Yes, it does. They all work together.
It's like an onion. You got to have the layers.
Layers.
Or like a cake, a nice cake with some sparkles and unicorn magic.
Perfect. I love it.
I love you, Katie. Thank you so much for your time.
You're welcome. Bye.
Let's be awesome, guys. Cheers.
Bye, everyone.